our future clean, green, prosperous, united, confident and ambitious. And that is the prize, and that is our responsibility. We will be the seedbed for the most exciting and most dynamic business investments on the planet. There will be nothing more dangerous for the new future that we want to build than allowing the permanent possibility of extending the implementation period in a torture. We all remember Prometheus chained to the Tartarian crag, his liver pecked out by an eagle and then growing back, as honourable members on all sides of the House will recall, and then growing back only to be pecked out again in the cycle repeated forever.
Statement, the Prime Minister.
Our mission is to deliver Brexit on the 31st of October for the purpose of uniting and re-energising our great United Kingdom and making this country the greatest place on earth. And that is our responsibility in this House of Commons to fulfil. And to do so, we must take some immediate steps. And the first is to restore trust in our democracy and fulfil the repeated promises of Parliament to the people by coming out of the European Union and doing so on October the 31st. I would prefer us to leave the EU with a deal. I would much prefer it. I believe that it is possible even at this late stage, and I will work flat out to make it happen. But certain things need to be clear. The withdrawal agreement negotiated by my predecessor has been 3 times rejected by this House. Its terms are unacceptable to this Parliament and to this country. No country that values its independence and indeed its self-respect could agree to a treaty which signed away our economic independence and self-government of our constitutional...
Order, I apologise for interrupting the Prime Minister. There's far too much noise in this chamber. And far too many members who think it's all right for them to shout out their opinion at the Prime Minister. Well, let's be clear, it isn't. The statement will be heard and there will be ample opportunity, in conformity with convention and as established by me over the last decade, for colleagues to question the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there is every chance that in 2050, into it I fully intend to be around, though not necessarily in this job. We will be able to look back on this period, this extraordinary period, as the beginning of a new golden age for our United Kingdom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome the Right Honourable Gentleman to his position, and I thank him for an advance copy of his statement. No one underestimates this country, but the country is... But the country is deeply worried that the new Prime Minister overestimates himself. He inherits a country that's been held back by 9 years of austerity.
Order. I indicated that people wouldn't shout down the Prime Minister. Precisely the same applies to the Leader of the Opposition. Don't try it. You're wasting your vocal cords. And above all, it won't work. Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If the Prime Minister continues to pursue a reckless no deal, does he accept that he would be directly flouting the expressed will of this Parliament? Industry, business and unions have been absolutely clear about the threat that it poses. Make UK, representing much of manufacturing industry, says no deal would be the height of economic lunacy. Mr. Speaker, those recklessly advocating no deal won't be the ones who lose out. The wealthy elite that funds him and his party will not lose their jobs, see their living standards cut, or face higher food bills. Mr. Speaker.
It'll take as long as it takes. I've got plenty of time. I'm totally untroubled by these matters. Jeremy Corbyn.
He says he has pluck, nerve and ambition. Our country does not need arm-waving bluster.
Order. For the avoidance of doubt, there is no vote on a bill tonight. There is a vote on a motion. And if that motion is successful, there would be a bill tomorrow. Order. I say this simply because the intelligibility of our proceedings to those observing them is important, and I'm sure everybody on all sides of the House would recognise that fundamental truth. The Leader of the Opposition, Jeremy Corbyn.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister met EU leaders over the summer and the EU Council President Tusk at the G7. After these meetings, the Prime Minister struck an optimistic note, saying the chances of a deal were, in his words, improving. His optimism was not shared by those who have been at the same meetings. EU leaders report that the government has so far failed to present any new proposals. The in-house journal of the Conservative Party, otherwise known as the Daily Telegraph, reports the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff calling negotiations a sham. Reports that the strategy is to, quote, run down the clock. No deal, Mr. Speaker, will mean food shortages, reduced medical supplies and chaos at our ports. Not me saying that. The government's own leaked analysis says, and it warns of chaos all across the board.
Order. We now come to the motion in the name of Sir Oliver Letwin.
This is the last week in which Parliament will have the ability to block a no-deal exit on the 31st of October. The Prime Minister is much in the position of someone standing on one side of a canyon, shouting to people on the other side of the canyon that if they do not do as he wishes, he will throw himself into the abyss. That is not a credible negotiating strategy. It's decision time. If honourable members across the House want to prevent a no-deal exit on the 31st of October, they will have the opportunity to do so if, but only if, they vote for this motion this evening. I hope they will do so.
The Leader of the House, Mr. Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure to be speaking in this debate, brought to us by the Right Honourable Gentleman, the member for Dorset West. This government is absolutely committed to delivering Brexit on the 31st of October. We must deliver the largest democratic mandate in the nation's history. Delivering the referendum result requires this House to respect the voice of the people as expressed in that historic vote. And so far, the House has failed to do so. Mr. Speaker, I wish to be clear What is proposed today is constitutionally irregular.
I thank the Right Honourable Member for giving way. And I'm proud to have my name on here. Very proud to stand with people who are willing to put country before party, country before self. I wasn't sent here by my constituents to make them poorer, to put their jobs at risk and their health care. And I think that's our overriding priority, that we are here to stop a no-deal Brexit. This isn't about whether we're Remainers or Brexiteers. No. Many people who voted for Brexit would continue to do so, but not for a no-deal Brexit. I believe there is no majority in the country or in this House for a no-deal Brexit, which is a disaster for the people of this country, of all 4 nations.
I think the Honourable Lady makes a very passionate case. Mr. Speaker, the nub of this is that this is about ideology, and however people voted in the Brexit referendum, they certainly didn't vote for this. And when you consider that the Treasury published a document last year that showed that a no-deal Brexit could reduce GDP over a 15-year period by something close to 10%, just dwell on this. You're talking about an impact on the economy that's 4 times greater than the economic crisis of 2008, the economic crisis that ushered in a decade of austerity.
The government is insisting on pursuing a policy which it knows a majority in Parliament is opposed to. I think there is no precedent for that I can think of. My right honourable friend, the Leader of the House, is very good at keeping a straight face when he is coming out with arguments that are almost incredible. The benefits of trading solely within the WTO, I will leave on one side. I'm sure the North Koreans thrive under that in every conceivable way. But the idea that at the moment of such historic crisis, such momentous decisions, that the House can be faced with arguments of that kind. It's all the fault of the Germans, the French, and particularly the commissioners, all the fault of Parliament, and have a quick election, wave a Union Jack, and then we'll sort out the bumps which will come when we've left. The reason we can't get a majority for anything here, and we exactly reflect the public, Parliament in its paralysed confusion, I think, entirely reflects the division of the public, where there's no clear majority for anything. But the only thing we have a majority for so far is we're against leaving with no deal.
But 3.5 years down the track, it's perfectly obvious to many of us that this country is going to a very bad outcome. And what has happened is, unfortunately, a section of my party has become hijacked by a narrow sector of those who voted to leave and who are simply using the will of the people as an instrument of potential tyranny towards any of those who disagree with them.
This government has no mandate for the vicious form of Brexit it is pursuing. It was never on the ballot paper. Now, there's been a lot of talk about democracy tonight, and the Leader of the House, who I have to say, with his body language throughout this evening, has been so contemptuous of this House and of the people. And for the benefit of Hansard, the Leader of the House has been spread across around 3 seats, lying out as if that was something very boring for him to listen to tonight. More than that, it also means a nightmare for people in Northern Ireland, and I pay tribute to the Honourable Member for North Down, who has made that case so many times. Think that we're going to rip up the Good Friday Agreement and think that it's nothing to be concerned about. There is everything to be concerned about that.
The question is the motion as on the paper in the name of Sir Oliver Letwin. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. of the contrary, no. Division! Clear the lobby.
The ayes to the right, 328. The noes to the left, 301.
Not a good start, Boris.
Order. The ayes to the right, 328. The noes to the left, 301. So the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Unlock. Minister!
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let there be no doubt, Mr. Speaker, about the consequences of this vote tonight. It means that Parliament is on the brink of wrecking any deal that we might be able to strike in Brussels, because tomorrow's bill would hand control of the negotiations to the EU, and that would mean more dither, more delay and more confusion. And it would mean that the EU themselves would be able to decide how long to keep this country in the EU. And we will leave anyway. Even if we don't, we will leave anyway on October the 31st.
Jeremy Corbyn!
There is no consent in this House to leave the European Union without a deal. There is no majority for no deal in the country. If the Prime Minister has the confidence in his Brexit policy, when he has one he can put forward, he should put it before the people in a public vote.
Order. I say to the Chancellor of the Duchy that when he turns up at our children's school as a parent, he's a very well-behaved fellow. He wouldn't dare behave like that in front of Colin Hall, and neither would I. Don't gesticulate, don't rant, spare us the theatrics. Behave yourself. Be a good boy, young man. Be a good boy. Point of order, Mr. Ian Blackford.
Don't give us this nonsense of a fantasy that there is a deal to come from the government. It is simply not true. The government must respect the sovereignty of the House of Parliament, must allow the bill to be enacted, must allow it to have royal consent. And yes, let us have an election, but let us have an election that respects the democracy of this House and the desire that parliamentarians have to make sure that we don't crash out on a no-deal basis.
Point of order, Anna Soubry.
I'm not going to be shouted down, especially by any man. Mr. Speaker, tonight's vote made even the leader of the House sit up. The rumour is that every single member of the Conservative Party who voted against their government tonight is going to have the whip withdrawn from them. Mr. Speaker, if that's the case, that must be the first time, and it would involve honourable and right honourable members who have served their party and many would say their country for decades. Could the Prime Minister confirm, will they have the whip withdrawn, yes or no?
Colleagues, I would like to make a personal statement to the House. At the 2017 election, I promised my wife and children that it would be my last. This is a pledge that I intend to keep. I have served as a Member of Parliament for 22 years, and for the last 10 as Speaker. This has been, let me put it explicitly, the greatest privilege and honour of my professional life, for which I will be eternally grateful.
You're all right. Just going to take the night off.
Mr. Speaker, the Lords, who are authorised by Her Majesty's Commission to declare her royal assent to acts passed by both Houses, and to also declare the prorogation of Parliament, desire the presence of this honourable House.
Really? No.
I recognise that our presence is desired by Her Majesty the Queen's Commissioners. This is not, however, a normal prorogation. It is not typical. It is not standard. It's one of the longest for decades, and it represents, not just in the minds of many colleagues, but huge numbers of people outside, an act of executive fiat. And therefore, an act of executive fiat. Mr. Stewart, if you don't like it, you're perfectly entitled to your view. I couldn't give a flying flamingo what your view is. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed.
Right, do your job. Do your job, for which you're handsomely paid.
This Parliament has declined 3 times to pass a withdrawal act. And when this government draws the only logical inference from that position, which is that it must leave, therefore, without any deal at all, it still sets its face, denying the electorate the chance of having its say in how this matter should be resolved. This Parliament is a dead Parliament. It should no longer sit. It has no moral right to sit on these green benches, and whatever is a disgrace. They could agree to a motion to allow this House to dissolve, but they're too cowardly to give it a go. But the time is coming. The time is coming, Mr. Speaker, when even these turkeys won't be able to prevent Christmas.
Mr. Barry Sherman.
Mr. Speaker, I came into the chamber today thinking I felt sorry for the Attorney General. But as he started, I did. Fair enough. But every word he has uttered, no shame today, no shame at all. This government cynically manipulated the prorogation to shut down this House so that it couldn't work as a democratic assembly. He knows that that is the truth. And to come here with his barrister's bluster to obfuscate the truth, and for a man like him, a party like this, and a leader like this Prime Minister, to talk about morals and morality is a disgrace!
Many of those who voted for the Surrender Act a few weeks ago said that Parliament must vote against any deal at all, out of sheer selfishness and political cowardice. Members opposite are unwilling to move aside and give the people a say. We will not betray the people who sent us here.
Wallace Sheriff.
Mr. Speaker, this evening the Prime Minister has continually used pejorative language to describe an Act of Parliament passed by this House. We should not resort to using offensive, dangerous or inflammatory language for legislation that we do not like. And we stand here, Mr. Speaker, under the shield of our departed friend, with many of us in this place subject to death threats and abuse every single day. And let me tell the Prime Minister that they often quote his words: surrender act, betrayal, traitor, and I, for one, am sick of it. We must moderate our language, and it has to come from the Prime Minister first. Absolutely. So I would be interested in hearing his opinion. He should be absolutely ashamed of himself.
I think, Mr. Speaker, I have to say, Mr. Speaker, I have to say, Mr. Speaker, I've never heard such humbug in all my life. I do think that this deal represents a very good deal both for the EU and for the UK. I agree very much, Jean-Claude, with what you said about protecting the peace process in the island of Ireland and in Northern Ireland. And of course, for us in the UK, it means that we can deliver a real Brexit that achieves our objectives. And it means that the UK leaves whole and entire on October the 31st.
I have to say that I'm happy about the deal, but I'm sad about Brexit. Have a good time.
This is a bill of huge significance and complexity. It will decide the future of our country and the future of our economy and the economic model that we follow. With the greatest brains in the world, and I'm sure this House does contain the greatest brains in the world, there's no doubt about that, 17 hours isn't very much to deal with 40 clauses and 110 pages of this legislation. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is trying to blindside this Parliament to force this deal through, and this Parliament must challenge him in doing that.
Mr. Speaker, I know the whole House will want to join me in recording that after 10 tumultuous years, this is your last Prime Minister's questions. And as befits a distinguished former Wimbledon competitor, you have sat up there in your high chair, and not just as an umpire, ruthlessly adjudicating on the finer points of parliamentary procedure with your trademark Tony Montana scowl, Mr. Speaker. Not just as a commentator, but above all as a player in your own right, peppering every part of the chamber with your own thoughts and opinions, like some tennis ball machine, some uncontrollable tennis ball machine, Mr. Speaker. And as we come to the end of what must be the longest retirement since Frank Sinatra, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the whole House will want to join me in thanking you and hoping that you enjoy in your retirement the soothing medicament that you have so often prescribed for the rest of us.
I invite Sir Lindsay Hoyle to take the chair of the House.
No clapping, yeah.
It is Her Majesty's pleasure that you, members of the House of Commons, repair to the place where you are to sit and there proceed to the choice of some proper person to be your Speaker.
Minister.
I mean absolutely no disrespect to those who are no longer with us, Mr. Speaker, but I think that this Parliament is a vast improvement on its predecessor. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, I would say it is one of the best parliaments this country has ever produced, with more female members than ever before, with more black and minority ethnic members than ever before. And it is also, Mr. Speaker, and I incarnated in your person, Mr. Speaker, a vastly more democratic Parliament. Because this Parliament is not going to waste the time of the nation in deadlock and division and delay. On Friday of this week, this Parliament is going to put the withdrawal agreement Friday in the pop tipping, as we say in Wales, and then this new democratic Parliament, this People's Parliament, is going to do something, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wonder if you can guess what it is this Parliament is going to do. What is it going to do? Mr. Speaker, not paying attention. Mr. Speaker, I wonder if you can guess what this Parliament is going to do once we put the withdrawal agreement back. We're going to get Brexit done, Mr. Speaker. I think even your parrot, Mr. Speaker, would have been able to cite that one.
The ayes to the right, 330. The noes to the left, 231.
Point of order, Mr. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. This is the first time that a part of the Union, a country of the Union, is having something done to it which it resents. Madam Deputy Speaker, this is a constitutional crisis because we will not and we cannot accept what has been done to us. And I say to the Prime Minister, and I say to the government,
Sit down.
Respect the election.
That wasn't me saying sit down. The honourable gentleman can finish his point.
We will not accept being taken out of the European Union. And I say to the Prime Minister, respect democracy, respect the election result, respect the right of the people of Scotland to choose our future. We will have our referendum, Prime Minister, and Scotland will remain an independent European country.
The right honourable gentleman referred to other deals that he is hoping to emulate. He will be aware that the EU's deal with South Korea took 8 years from the start of negotiations to implementation, and the Canada deal 7 years. Given that the government is seeking a much more comprehensive arrangement than either of those, may I say to him, the proof will be whether his optimism that it can be done and ratified in 10 months.
Well, we already have an agreement that settles our financial obligations and makes provisions through the protocol for Northern Ireland's position. So we already have an agreement. With respect to the free trade agreements to which he refers, it's obviously more difficult to begin when you are designing a prototype. Now that these prototypes exist and they are no longer prototypes but precedents, it is much, much easier to replicate their provisions.
First of his two questions. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to start by...
Ms. Caroline Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, climate experts reported that green economic recovery packages deliver far higher returns than...
So can the Prime Minister tell us, how on earth did it come to this?
Prime Minister.
Death is a tragedy, and these are all the conclusions that we...
Mr. Speaker, the argument that I'm using slides like this for weeks to do international comparison just really doesn't hold water.
Surprise, surprise, no Michael McCavity. And it now looks like he's actually going to secure the no-deal Brexit he's always coveted. It's going to be misery heaped on misery as COVID and Brexit appear like the twin horsemen of the economic apocalypse, trampling over any prospect of a recovery. And when you see them sitting down to negotiate, Mr. Speaker, it's like watching the Scotland B team taking on Brazil of the 1970s. It's almost cruel to observe them with their screeds of documents and facts, and Team GB with their ill-fitting clown shoes. And it's no way that Scotland's going to be part of this impending disaster.
I regret to have to tell the House that in recent months, the EU has suggested that it is willing to go to extreme and unreasonable lengths, using the Northern Ireland Protocol in a way that goes well beyond common sense, simply to exert leverage against the UK in our negotiations for a free trade agreement. Because under this protocol, that decision would create an instant and automatic prohibition on the transfer of our animal products from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. No British Prime Minister, no government, no Parliament could ever accept such an imposition.
From a man who said he wanted to get Brexit done and won an election on it, this bill gets Brexit undone by overturning key aspects of the protocol that were agreed. The Prime Minister has said many times he wants to bring unity to the country during his premiership. I therefore congratulate him on having in just one short year united his 5 predecessors. Unfortunately, their point of agreement is that he is trashing the reputation of this country and trashing the reputation of his office. And what about the prize trade deal with the United States? This is what the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, said. The UK must respect the Northern Ireland Protocol as signed with the EU. If the UK violates that international treaty and Brexit undermines the Good Friday Accord, there'll be absolutely no chance of a US-UK trade agreement passing the Congress. Nissan says there could be no guarantee about its Sunderland plant if there were tariffs on UK to EU trade. Ford have said no deal will be disastrous. The NFU say it will be catastrophic for British farming. We're in the biggest economic crisis for 300 years, the biggest public health crisis for 100 years. No deal is not some game. It's about the livelihoods of millions of people across our country.
I cannot emphasise enough how concerned I am that a Conservative government is willing to go back on its word, to break an international agreement signed in good faith, and to break international law. I have to say to my honourable friend, I wish I had £10 for every time I've given way to him in a debate or a statement over the last few years, but I will give way to him on this one occasion.
I'm most grateful to my right honourable friend. Is she aware that the EU itself, and indeed many other states throughout the world, including many democratic countries, have persistently broken international law?
Let me get this right. My honourable friend seems to be saying if somebody else does something wrong, it's okay for us to do something wrong. I'm sorry, I do not agree with him on that point. This is a country that upholds the rule of law. It is one of the things that makes us great, yet we're being asked to tear up that principle and throw away that value. And why? I can only see that on the face of it, it's because the government didn't really understand what it was signing up to when it signed the withdrawal agreement.
What we wanted was not a rupture, but a resolution of the old, tired, vexed question of Britain's political relations with Europe, which has bedeviled our post-war history. First we stood aloof, then we became a half-hearted, sometimes obstructive member of the EU. Now, with this bill, we're going to become a friendly neighbour, the best friend and ally the EU could have, working hand in glove whenever our values and interests coincide, while fulfilling the sovereign wish of the British people to live under their own laws, made by their own elected parliament. That is the historic resolution delivered by this bill, and Mr. Speaker, I commend it to the House.
I will be voting for this bill to implement the agreement today because, quite simply, the alternative is no deal. This is not a vote about whether we support Brexit. I do not. But it's happened. This is a vote about making a bit better of a bad job. Yeah. Now, there are aspects of the agreement that will be welcomed. The absence of tariffs has been referred to, the agreement on healthcare, the level playing provisions seem pretty reasonable to me. We've got access to some of the information we require for our security. But we must also be honest about what is missing from this agreement and what that will mean. It does not deliver frictionless trade. It will impose checks, costs and red tape on British businesses that export to Europe. It offers no certainty yet on data transfer or financial services, which is so important to our economy. And why has this happened? Because from the start, the government was faced with having to choose between sovereignty on the one hand and the economic interests of the country on the other. And however hard they tried to pretend that they could have the best of both, that was never possible. There was always a trade-off. Tomorrow, the process of leaving the EU will be complete. But the day after, we will need to look forward, because a new question will confront us as a nation. What kind of relationship do we now wish to have with our biggest, nearest and most important trading partners and friends? And I hope as we move beyond leave and remain, we will now be able, as a country, to come together to do exactly that.
I love Europe. Half my family have worked in Europe all their working lives. I studied out there. I love its idiosyncrasies. I love its language differences. I love its arts and its culture and its people. But I am British, I'm a member of the United Kingdom, and I want to respect them, be their friend. For too long, we moved into the same house with them, and we didn't get on. We're now just going to move next door and be good neighbours, good friends, and good allies. I congratulate my right honourable friend for bringing this to a conclusion. He deserves the plaudits that he's going to get.
Our Prime Minister, a great classicist, like his hero Pericles, is the first citizen of his country, and like him has saved our democracy. Like Alexander the Great, Boris has cut the Gordian knot. Churchill and Margaret Thatcher would have been deeply proud of his achievement, and so are we. In April 1990, I was asked by Margaret Thatcher to lunch at number 10 with members of the cabinet. Margaret Thatcher asked me, what did I feel about Europe? I replied, Prime Minister, your task is more difficult than Churchill's. He was faced with bombs and aircraft. You are faced with pieces of paper. We have now won back our sovereignty. Despite those European pieces of paper, we owe our Prime Minister, the country owes him, our deepest congratulations on his achievement.
Keir Starmer. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The truth is this. There will be an avalanche of checks, bureaucracy and red tape for British businesses. There will be checks for farmers, for our manufacturers, for customs, on rules of origin, VAT, safety and security, plant and animal health, and much more. And it's somewhat ironic that for years the Conservative Party has railed against EU bureaucracy, but this treaty imposes far more red tape on British businesses than there is at the moment. And it's the consequence of the Prime Minister's political choices. But we have only one day before the end of the transition period, and it's the only deal that we have. It is a basis to build on in the years to come. And ultimately, voting to implement this treaty is the only way to ensure that we avoid no deal. And so we will vote for this bill today.
Thank you.